For over 4 decades, Cameroon's political landscape has been dominated by one man, Paul Biya. To some, he's the symbol of stability. To others, he's the reason for stagnation. At 92 years old, he remains one of the longest-serving presidents in the world, a man who has ruled since 1982, before most of today's voters were even born. Now, in 2025, the question echoes louder than ever: can anyone truly challenge his power? And surprisingly, one of his former allies, Issa Tchiroma Bakary, believes he can. Paul Biya's era began with promises of democracy, progress, and unity. He was young, educated, and confident, seen as the man who could modernize Cameroon. But over the decades, that promise faded into fatigue. Elections became predictable, power became personal, and corruption became the norm. Yet Biya remained calm, distant, almost untouchable. He spoke rarely, ruled quietly, and maintained an iron grip through loyal ministers and a powerful party machine. Among those loyalists was a man named Issa Tchiroma Bakary. A former minister of communication, Tchiroma defended Biya's government for years, often facing public criticism for his loyalty. But politics is a strange game, where allies become rivals and silence turns into ambition. And now, in 2025, Issa Tchiroma stands on the other side, declaring himself the man to bring real change. At first, many laughed. How can someone who defended the regime for years now claim to fight against it, they asked. But as the campaign season unfolded, something unexpected happened. People began to listen. From Douala to Douala, from Yaoundé to Bamenda, crowds started to gather. Tchiroma's speeches carried a new tone, bold, defiant, and emotional. He spoke of unemployment, corruption, and the pain of division. He promised reconciliation, new opportunities, and national unity. He told the youth, your future is not something to wait for, it's something to fight for. And that message struck a nerve. Cameroon's youth make up more than 60% of the population, yet most say they've never known another leader. In universities, street corners, and social media, conversations are shifting. Some see Tchiroma as the only realistic challenger with the experience and courage to face Biya's system head-on. Others dismiss him as just another politician in recycled clothing. But one thing is undeniable, the energy is different this time. Recently, at a rally in Douala, thousands turned out in what many call the biggest political gathering since the 2018 elections. People carried placards reading, "It's our turn now." Songs echoed through the streets. And for the first time in years, Cameroonians felt something they hadn't in a long time: hope. Yet, in Cameroon, elections are rarely just about popularity. They are about control. And that's where another powerful figure enters the story, Paul Atanga Nji, Minister of Territorial Administration. Often described as the guardian of the system, Atanga Nji has been accused of using his position to protect the ruling party's dominance. He insists he's only maintaining order. But many opposition leaders claim the game is rigged long before election day. In a recent statement, Atanga Nji warned opposition parties not to declare their own results, saying only the government has that authority. To critics, that sounded like a warning shot. To supporters, it was a sign that the system is still in full control. So even if Issa Tchiroma wins hearts, can he really win power? International observers are watching closely. The African Union has called for free and fair elections, while Western nations remain cautious but hopeful. Meanwhile, inside the country, the tension is palpable. Social media is on fire, with memes, debates, and endless arguments. Some call Biya a hero who kept the nation peaceful through storms. Others see him as a symbol of a generation refusing to let go. And somewhere in between, Issa Tchiroma walks a fine line, trying to convince both sides that he's the bridge Cameroon needs. In the north, he's seen as a son of the soil, a man of the people who speaks their language and shares their struggles. In the cities, he's working to rebuild trust among skeptical youth who associate him with the old guard. And in rural areas, his campaign promises free education, local development, and fair governance. But history tells us, in Cameroon, elections are not just decided at the ballot box. They are decided in backrooms, boardrooms, and sometimes, behind closed doors. Still, there's a growing sense that something is shifting. The silence of the people is breaking. The streets are talking louder than ever. And for the first time in years, there's a real conversation about what life could look like after Biya. Would that future be written by Issa Tchiroma? Or would the weight of the old system crush every spark of change? As the days count down to election day, one thing is certain: Cameroon's story is far from over. It's a story of resilience, power, and the eternal struggle between loyalty and freedom. This election isn't just about who becomes president. It's about whether a new generation will finally rise, or whether the old guard will keep its hold. Whatever happens,
Paul Biya
the world
to
is
acknowledge
watching.
his defeat on the evening of the upcoming